The Interstellar Learning Academy floated silently above a blue gas giant. From the outside, it looked calm and perfect. Inside, it was full of young minds from across the galaxy. This academy trained future leaders, explorers, and commanders. Every species believed their children would shape the future here. Humans were new to the academy. Very new. They had only joined the galactic community a few cycles ago. Many species still did not understand them. Humans were loud, emotional, too expressive. They smiled too much, talked with their hands, and asked strange questions. Most aliens thought humans were weak, too soft, too social. Evan Carter sat quietly at the back of the classroom. He was the only human in this class. Around him sat creatures of many shapes and colors. Some had scales, some had fur, some had glowing skin or extra eyes. A few did not even have faces the way humans understood them. Evan kept his hands on the desk and looked forward. He had learned quickly that staring made aliens uncomfortable. The instructor entered the room. Professor Zelvar was tall and thin, with long arms and pale blue skin. His eyes blinked sideways as he looked over the class. "Today," the professor said, "we begin cultural understanding." The room became quiet. "This academy believes knowledge comes not only from books," Zelvar continued, "but from shared experience." Some students leaned forward with interest. The professor activated a floating screen. Symbols and images appeared in the air. "Each of you," he said, "will bring a domesticated companion from your home world." The translator chip adjusted his words. "Bring a pet." Soft sounds filled the room. Some students chirped with excitement. Others made clicking noises. A few laughed quietly. Pets were common across the galaxy. Most species kept small, harmless creatures, things that glowed, floated, or made pleasant sounds. The professor raised a hand for silence. "Your pet must be safe," he said. "No predators, no weapons, no danger. This is a place of learning." Several students glanced toward Evan. Humans were known for strange animals. Evan stayed still. His face showed no emotion. "You will present your pet tomorrow," the professor said. Class dismissed. The room exploded with noise. Students gathered in groups, talking excitedly about what they would bring. Some boasted about rare creatures. Others joked about impressing the class. As students filed out, Evan stood and walked calmly toward the exit. A tall, insect-like student stopped him. "You have pets on Earth, yes?" The alien asked. "Yes," Evan replied. The alien's antennae twitched. "Are they dangerous?" Evan paused for a moment. "Some are," he said honestly. The alien stepped back quickly. Evan left the room. The next day, the classroom filled early. Students arrived carrying containers of all shapes, transparent boxes, floating bubbles, energy cages. Soft hums and gentle lights filled the room. One student brought a small, glowing creature that floated like a balloon. Another carried a six-legged animal with colorful feathers. A third had a tiny creature that sang when touched. The instructor inspected each one carefully. "Safe," he said again and again. The mood was light. Students laughed. Some competed to see whose pet was cuter or rarer. Several students kept looking toward the door. The human had not arrived yet. Minutes passed. Then the door opened. Silence fell instantly. Evan Carter stepped inside. He was not carrying a box. He was not holding a cage. His hands were empty. Behind him came a sound. A slow, heavy sound. Tap, tap, tap. Something walked into the room. It was large, much larger than any pet present. It had thick brown fur, strong legs, and sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything at once. Its ears stood tall. Its body was tense but controlled. The creature stopped beside Evan. Then it sat, perfectly still. Every student froze. Some pets reacted immediately. Glowing creatures dimmed. Floating ones drifted away. Feathered animals hid behind their handlers. The instructor's skin shifted color, in alarm. "What is that?" he asked slowly. Evan rested one hand gently on the creature's head. "This," Evan said calmly, "is my pet." The room did not move. Several students activated scanners without realizing it. Data flashed across their displays. Heart rate, extremely high. Muscle density, extreme. Jaw strength, lethal. Reaction speed, predator class. Warning symbols appeared. A low alert tone echoed through the room. The instructor swallowed. Human, he said carefully. This creature does not meet classroom safety rules. Evan looked confused. He's trained, Evan said. He's friendly, as if understanding. The creature looked up at Evan. Evan gave a small hand signal. The creature remained still, calm, obedient. That made the fear worse. Because no predator should listen like that. No one spoke. The galaxy's best academy had just realized something important. They had asked a human to bring a pet, and the human had followed the rules. Exactly. The classroom did not breathe. No one moved. The creature sat beside Evan Carter, calm and silent. But its presence filled the room like a storm waiting to break. Its eyes were dark and focused. They did not glow. They did not flash colors. They simply watched. That made it worse. Professor Zelvar slowly stepped back from his desk. His long fingers trembled as he touched the control panel. The safety scanners continued to blink red warnings across the room. Human Evan, the professor said carefully, your companion is activating multiple threat indicators. Evan frowned. He looked down at the animal beside him. Max. Evan said softly, stay. The creature did not move. It did not even blink. Several students gasped. The translator system struggled to explain what they were seeing. Predators across the galaxy were wild, aggressive, and hard to control. Even trained ones needed restraints or shock fields. But this one, it listened to a single word. A reptilian student near the front whispered, that thing is waiting. Waiting for what? Another asked. No, the reptilian replied quietly. Waiting for permission. Fear spread like a sickness. One of the smaller pets began to squeal. Its handler tried to calm it, but the sound triggered something unexpected. The creature beside Evan lifted its head slightly. Its ears turned forward. Its body tensed. Every scanner screamed. Security drones dropped from the ceiling with a loud mechanical sound. Red lights flashed. A warning voice echoed through the room. Predator presence detected. Remain still. Evan raised both hands slowly. It's okay, he said. He won't hurt anyone. Professor Zelvar struggled to keep his voice steady. Human, he said. That animal is classified as a high-level carnivore. It should not be here. Evan looked honestly surprised. Why? He asked. He goes to schools back home. The room erupted in noise. He goes where? Someone shouted. Evan blinked. Schools. Hospitals. Homes. The professor's eyes widened. You bring this predator near your young? Zelvar asked. Yes, Evan replied. He keeps them safe. The word safe did not translate well. Several students backed away from their desks. One dropped their container. A glowing creature escaped and floated toward the ceiling. Max's head followed it for a second. Evan noticed instantly. No, Evan said quietly. Max relaxed. The security drones paused. That moment changed everything. The professor saw it clearly now. This was not control through pain or fear. There were no shock collars, no restraints, no force. This was trust. How long? The professor asked slowly. Has this creature lived with you? 5 years, Evan answered. Since he was small. Since birth? A student asked. Evan shook his head. We found each other. That answer made no sense to the galaxy. Scanners continued to display frightening data. Bite force estimates alone exceeded military limits. Speed predictions were worse. And you called as a pet? The professor asked. Yes, Evan said. He's family. The word family echoed strangely through translators. A council member appeared as a hologram at the side of the room. Then another, and another. The system had automatically alerted higher authority. This class is now under review, a calm voice said. Human student, remain where you are. Evan nodded. Max did not move. The council studied the creature carefully. They watched its breathing, its posture, its eyes. It is aware, one council member said. Highly, another replied. It is choosing restraint. A third added. That was the most terrifying part. Professor Zelvar swallowed. Human, Evan, he said, why did you choose this creature for the assignment? Evan thought for a moment. You asked for a pet, he said. This is what humans keep. Silence followed. One student finally spoke. Do all humans keep predators? Evan shrugged. Some keep cats. Some keep birds. Some keep fish. He paused. And some keep dogs. The translator struggled again. Dogs, the professor repeated. Yes, Evan said. They help us hunt, guard, rescue, protect. Protect from what? A council member asked. Evan looked around the room. At the advanced technology. At the shields. At the weapons hidden behind walls. From danger, he answered simply. Max stood up slowly. Gasps filled the room. Evan placed a hand on Max's neck. Sit, he said. Max sat. Perfectly. The council exchanged silent signals. They were no longer studying the animal. They were studying the human. Because only one question mattered now. If this was what humans called a pet, what did humans call a weapon? The security drones did not leave. They hovered above the classroom, silent but ready. Their weapons stayed locked on the creature beside Evan Carter. Red warning lights continued to pulse softly against the walls. Professor Zelvar stood very still. This situation has exceeded classroom limits, he said. We will proceed with a full safety protocol. The words sounded calm, but everyone knew what they meant. Across the room, students held their breath. Some of them had never seen a real predator before. Others had only studied them in history files, long extinct or sealed away on protected worlds. None of those predators had ever sat quietly in a classroom. The council holograms flickered as data streamed in. Biometric scans, behavioral analysis, threat simulations. All readings confirm. One council member said, this creature is capable of lethal force within seconds. Another replied, and yet it has shown none. That contradiction is unacceptable. A third said, predators act on instinct. Evan listened quietly. Max remained seated. Professor Zelvar turned to Evan. Human, do you understand why this concerns us? Evan nodded. Because you think he's dangerous. No, the professor corrected. Because we know he is. Evan did not argue. Instead, he reached into his pocket. Security drones reacted instantly. Weapons charged. Warning alarm spiked. Stop, the professor shouted. Evan froze. Slowly, carefully, he pulled out a small object and placed it on the desk. It was simple, worn, a piece of cloth attached to a strap. It's his leash, Evan said. I forgot to bring it earlier. The room fell silent again. A leash, a council member repeated. Yes, Evan said. It's a sign, not a chain. What does it do? The professor asked. It tells him we're working together, Evan replied. Max glanced at the leash. His tail moved once. The drones hesitated. The council members exchanged quiet signals. Human Evan. One finally said, attach it. Evan nodded. He moved slowly and clipped the leash onto Max's collar. The moment it clicked, Max relaxed completely. His breathing slowed. His ears lowered slightly. Threat indicators dropped. Not enough to clear the alerts, but enough to change the room. That device, the council said carefully, reduces aggression. Evan shook his head. No, it communicates trust. That word again. Trust. The galaxy did not build its society on trust. It used rules, systems, controls, barriers. Trust was dangerous. And what happens, the professor asked, if that trust breaks? Evan looked him in the eye. It won't, he said. No hesitation. That scared them more than any scan. The council ordered a control test. A small mechanical drone was released into the center of the room. It moved quickly, making sharp noises and flashing lights. Designed to trigger predator response. Several students cried out. Max's head snapped up. His body tensed. Scanner screamed. Evan raised one hand. Leave it, he said calmly. Max did not move. The drone circled closer, faster, louder. Max watched it closely, muscles ready. Evan knelt beside him. "It's okay," Evan whispered. "Good boy." The drone stopped. The room breathed again. The council froze the test. "That should not be possible," one member said. "It is," another replied quietly. "For humans." Professor Zelvar stepped forward. "Human Evan," he said, "why do humans bond with predators?" Evan thought carefully. "Because we are not the strongest," he said. "We survive by working together." "Together with predators?" the professor asked. "Yes," Evan said, "especially with them." That answer sent a chill through the room. One student finally spoke the question everyone feared. "If this creature protects you, what do you protect it from?" Evan looked around the room, at the armored walls, at the drones, at the council members watching from light years away. "From people who don't understand him," Evan said. Max stood again. But this time, no alarm sounded. The scanners adjusted. The system learned. The creature walked slowly across the room, leash loose, Evan following. He stopped near a frightened alien student whose hands were shaking. Max sat in front of them. He did nothing. He simply stayed. The student stopped shaking. The room changed. Professor Zelvar realized something then. This was not a lesson about pets. This was a lesson about humans. And it was far more dangerous. Because the galaxy had just discovered truth it could not forget. Humans do not fear predators. They befriend them. And if they can do that, what else are humans capable of controlling? The classroom was sealed. Energy barriers slid over the doors and walls. Outside noise vanished. The academy no longer treated this as a lesson. It was now an incident. Professor Zelvar stood at the center of the room, his posture stiff. The council holograms grew larger, clearer. More members joined. Their shapes filled the air with cold light. "Human Evan Carter," a senior council voice said, "you and your companion are now under Galactic review." Evan nodded calmly. Max sat beside him, leash loose, eyes alert but peaceful. "Your creature has violated multiple safety laws," the council continued. "Predator containment rules, civil protection rules, educational environment rules." Evan listened without interrupting. "The presence of such an animal inside a shared learning space is unacceptable," another council member said. Evan raised his hand slightly. "May I speak?" The council paused. "Proceed," they said. "You asked us to share our culture," Evan said. "This is part of it." Murmurs spread across the holograms. "This is not culture," one member replied sharply. "This is recklessness." Evan looked down at Max. "When I was younger," Evan said, "Max saved my life." The room quieted. "There was a fire," Evan continued. "He woke me up, pulled me out. He was burned doing it." Scanners picked up old scar tissue beneath Max's fur. Several council members froze. "You trust him because he protected you," the professor said slowly. "Yes," Evan replied, "and I protect him." The council did not respond immediately. They shifted the topic. "Human," a council member said, "our data shows your species has thousands of predator animals domesticated." "Millions," Evan corrected. That word echoed like a shockwave. "Explain," the council demanded. Evan took a breath. "Humans come from a dangerous world," he said. "Almost everything there can hurt us. Teeth, claws, venom, weather, even plants." Several students shuddered. "So you dominate your environment," the council said. "No," Evan replied. "We adapt to it." "And predators?" the professor asked. "We learn from them." Evan said, "We respect them." Max lifted his head slightly, as if listening. "Predators on Earth are not evil," Evan continued. "They protect balance. They teach us awareness." "That is not how predators behave in the galaxy," a council member replied. "That's because you removed them," Evan said softly. Silence followed. "You hunted them to extinction," Evan continued, "or locked them away. You feared them." The council did not deny it. "Humans chose a different path," Evan said. "We chose partnership." One council member leaned forward. And what happens when that partnership fails? Evan met their gaze. Then we take responsibility, he said. The words hit harder than any threat. Professor Zelvar noticed something disturbing. Max had not moved for a long time. No pacing, no stress signs, no fear. He was completely confident. Human Evan, the professor asked, what command would make your companion attack? Evan stiffened. I won't answer that, he said. Answer, the council demanded. No, Evan repeated, because I will never give it. The council exchanged uneasy signals. That was the moment they understood. The control did not come from words. It came from choice. The council ordered one final test. A simulated threat appeared, an artificial intruder projected near Evan, loud, aggressive, designed to appear dangerous. Several students screamed. Max stepped forward instantly. But before any alarms could rise, Evan moved between Max and the threat. Stand down, Evan said firmly. Max stopped. The projection attacked Evan. Max lunged. Max! Evan shouted. Max halted mid-step. The projection struck Evan harmlessly, passing through his body. The test ended. The room shook. That response time, a council member whispered. That obedience. Professor Zelvar felt fear crawl through him. This human stood between a predator and danger, he said. Yes, the council replied slowly. And the predator listened. They ended the review. For now, the council said, the energy barriers lowered. This academy will update its classification of humanity, the council announced, from developing species to potential high-risk civilization. Students stared at Evan, not with mockery, with awe, with fear. Evan clipped the leash back to his belt. Max walked beside him. As Evan left the classroom, Professor Zelvar realized something chilling. The galaxy had judged the wrong being. The animal was not the danger. The human was. News does not stay quiet in the galaxy. Within hours, reports spread beyond the academy. Security footage leaked. Scanner data followed. Council notes were shared in restricted channels. A single image appeared again and again. A human student, standing calmly, beside a predator, and the predator obeyed. On distant worlds, leaders paused their meetings. Military analysts replayed the footage frame by frame. Scientists argued late into the night. This was not a normal cultural event. This was a warning. At the academy, classes continued, but nothing felt the same. Students whispered when Evan passed. Hallways grew silent around him. Doors opened faster. Max walked at his side, leash loose, eyes calm. No one laughed anymore. Professor Zelvar watched from his office window as Evan crossed the central courtyard. He felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. The professor had taught for centuries. He had studied hundreds of species. He believed he understood fear. But humans confuse him. They did not hide their predators. They walked beside them. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. This changes our threat models, one council member said. A species that bonds with predators cannot be treated as harmless, another replied. They weaponize instinct, a third argued. No, a quieter voice said. They socialize it. That scared them most of all. Military databases were updated. Earth's animals were reclassified. Dogs, cats, even horses. Predator adjacent, human compatible. The phrase spread quickly. Human compatible. It appeared in reports, in warnings, in restricted files. Meanwhile, Evan returned to his dorm room. Max lay down near the door, alert but relaxed. The room was small, but Max fit easily, as if he belonged there, because he did. Evan sat on his bed, rubbing Max's ears. You did good today, Evan said softly. Max's tail moved once. Outside the academy, a transport arrived carrying high-level observers, not students, not teachers, advisors, strategists, security specialists. They wanted answers. Professor Zelvar was ordered to present his assessment. They are calm, he said. Too calm. Humans accept danger as normal. And their animals? The council asked. They are not tools, the professor replied. They are partners. Silence followed. That word again. Partner. On a nearby planet. An alien ambassador watched the footage of Max stopping mid-lunge. He replayed it slowly. "Stop," the human had said, and the predator obeyed. "What command did he use?" the ambassador asked. "There was no command," the analyst replied. "Only trust." The ambassador turned away. "Then humans are not training animals," he said. "They are training themselves." Back at the academy, a new rule appeared on the announcement boards. No non-human companions allowed in classrooms. It was signed quickly. Too quickly. Evan read the notice silently. Max looked up at him. "It's okay," Evan said. "You didn't do anything wrong." Max rested his head on Evan's foot. Some students felt relief when they saw the rule. Others felt disappointment. A small alien student approached Evan later that day. I was afraid of your pet," they admitted, "but he made me feel safe." Evan smiled slightly. "He does that," he said. The student hesitated. "Are all humans like you?" they asked. Evan thought. "No," he said honestly. "Some are better. Some are worse." That answer spread. The council finalized a report. Humans possess an unusual ability to emotionally bond with high-threat entities. This ability may present a significant risk in future conflicts. ****. The word conflict hung heavy. Military leaders read the report carefully. "If they can bond with predators," one said, "they can bond with soldiers." Or weapons. Another added, "No." A third replied, "Worse." Each other. The council made a decision. Humanity would be watched closely. Evan received a message later that night. "Your presence has altered interspecies safety protocols. Further observation required. ****. He closed the message without reply. Max stood and stretched. "Come on," Evan said. "Let's get some air." They walked onto the Academy's observation deck. Stars filled the sky. Thousands of worlds. Thousands of species. All watching now. Behind the glass, unseen, council members observed a human and his companion. One finally spoke. "This human does not fear the galaxy," they said. Another replied quietly, "No, the galaxy fears him." Because the truth was now clear. If humans could walk calmly beside monsters, then humans themselves were something far more dangerous. And the galaxy had only seen the beginning. The galaxy did not sleep. After the Academy incident, human data was rechecked across every major system. Old reports were reopened. Minor encounters were reviewed again with new understanding. Patterns appeared. Humans always walk beside danger. On frontier worlds, humans live where others refuse to settle. On unstable planets, humans stayed when evacuation orders were given. In conflict zones, humans arrived first and left last. The council had missed something important. Until now, at the Academy, Evan Carter's life changed quietly. No guards followed him. No cells held him. But eyes were everywhere. Every step he took was recorded. Every word he spoke was noted. Max stayed close. The animal had become a symbol, not of fear, but of truth. Professor Zelvar requested one final meeting with Evan. They sat across from each other in a private room. The walls were transparent, showing distant stars. "You have caused great concern," the professor said. "I didn't mean to," Evan replied. "I just followed the assignment." "That is the problem," the professor said softly. "You followed it perfectly." He paused. "Do humans understand how terrifying this is to us?" Evan thought for a long moment. "I think," he said slowly, "we understand danger, but not fear the same way you do." "Explain," the professor asked. "Humans grow up afraid." Evan said, "Of storms, of darkness, of losing people we love." Max lay quietly at his feet. "But we don't remove fear," Evan continued. "We live with it. We teach our children how to face it." The professor felt something cold settle inside him. "You do not avoid predators," he said. "You raise them." "No," Evan corrected gently. "We grow together." That difference mattered. The council reached its final decision days later. Humanity would not be restricted. It would not be attacked. It would not be controlled. Instead, it would be classified under a new category, unpredictable allied species. It was the most dangerous label in the galactic system because it meant one thing. Humans could not be forced. They could only be trusted or feared. The announcement was sent across the stars. At the academy, students gathered silently as the message played on the central display. Some felt relief, some felt dread, and some felt admiration. Evan stood among them, just another student. Max sat beside him. When the message ended, no one spoke. Then a small alien child stepped forward. "Human Evan," they asked, "will you leave?" Evan shook his head. "No," he said. "I still have classes." The child looked at Max. "Will he stay too?" Evan smiled. "Yes." That was when the fear truly settled. Not because of the animal, but because humans did not run when watched. They stayed. Across the galaxy, military planners adjusted strategies. If humans enter conflict, expect unconventional allies. If humans retreat, expect traps. If humans are calm, expect something worse. On one distant world, a warlord canceled an invasion. "Why?" his advisor asked. "Because humans live there," the warlord replied, "and if they trust the land enough to bring their pets." He did not finish the sentence. Back at the academy, Professor Zovar watched Evan and Max walk to the courtyard one last time before evening lights dimmed. The professor finally understood. The galaxy feared predators because predators could not choose mercy, but humans could, and still chose to stand beside them. That was the true danger. Not strength, not weapons, but control born from trust. Max stopped and looked up at Evan. Evan knelt and placed his forehead against Max's. Stars reflected in the glass around them. To the galaxy, it looked like dominance. To humans, it was family. And that was a final lesson the Academy never meant to teach. Humans do not tame monsters. They invite them into their homes. They name them. They love them. Asterisk, asterisk. And if the galaxy ever made humans its enemy, it would not be fighting humans alone. It would be fighting everything that chose to stand with them. That is why the stars grew quiet. That is why borders shifted. That is why the galaxy learned to be careful. Because somewhere out there, a human was walking calmly, with a monster at their side.